when a little girl ran crying into a diner. No one expected what these bikers did next. The first rays of morning sunlight crept over the horizon, washing a quiet roadside diner in a soft, golden glow. Steam curled from coffee mugs, the hum of engines rumbled through the crisp air, and the smell of leather, bacon, and gasoline clung to the group of Hell's Angels bikers gathered for breakfast. They looked every bit as tough as their reputation. The kind of men strangers usually crossed the street to avoid. Yet beneath those heavy vests and hardened faces were stories no one had ever dared to ask about. Laughter echoed between them, bouncing off the chrome of their bikes, until a piercing, desperate scream cut through the morning calm. Heads turned. A small figure in a red dress stumbled across the parking lot, boots slipping on the cold pavement, her light brown hair tangled and wild. Her cheeks were streaked with tears and dust. "Please," she cried, her voice cracking. Her trembling hand pointed back toward the road. "They're hurting my mama. Please, somebody help her." For a heartbeat, no one moved. Even the engines seemed to fall silent. A couple of truckers by the gas pumps turned to look, frozen in place. The only one who moved was a single man. If you believe in kindness, in redemption, in people who still rise when others turn away, stay with us. Because what happened next will renew your faith in humanity. The man who stepped forward was Mason Cole, a broad-shouldered biker in his late 30s. The red and white patch of the Hell's Angels stood bold on his back. He'd seen a lot, fights, blood, betrayal, but never a child like this. He knelt down in front of her, steadying her shaking hands. "Where's your mama?" he asked, voice low but rough like gravel. The girl's sobs came in broken gasps as she pointed again down the road toward a cluster of old trailers, half hidden by trees. "They're beating her," she cried. "Please help." Without another word, Mason rose, jaw tightening with resolve. "Tank, Ryder. With me," he ordered. The three men swung onto their Harleys. Engines roared, tires screeched, and within seconds they were gone. Dust swirling behind them as the diner fell silent once more. Inside, another biker gently led the trembling child indoors, draping his leather jacket around her small shoulders. She sat by the window, eyes wide, watching until the red glow of the taillights disappeared down the long stretch of road. Minutes passed. Then, from far away, faint sounds drifted back. Shouting, breaking glass, the deep thunder of engines cutting through chaos. Mason and his brothers had found the trailer. Inside, the scene was burned into their memories forever. A drunken man cornering a terrified woman, his fists raw, his words slurred with rage. A crack of sunlight slipped through a broken window, illuminating her bruised face. Before the next blow could land, boots pounded the floorboards. Mason caught the man's wrist mid-swing and twisted hard. The bottle he held shattered against the floor. The other bikers pinned him down effortlessly. No words, just action. Mason turned toward the woman, his hardened expression softening. "You okay, ma'am?" he asked, voice trembling with restrained fury. She nodded weakly, tears spilling down her cheeks. Outside, the faint echo of police sirens grew closer. A neighbor must have called it in. When the officers arrived, the bikers didn't run. They stood calmly in the yard, hands raised, while the little girl clung tightly to Mason's leg. The woman, Carla, explained everything. Her ex-boyfriend, freshly out of prison, had tracked her down and attacked her that morning. When the man was finally led away in handcuffs, Mason crouched beside the girl. "You did good, kid," he said softly. "You were brave." Then, he lifted her gently onto his motorcycle. She sat on his lap, clutching a helmet too big for her tiny head as they rode back toward the diner, the rising sun spilling gold across the open road. By the time they returned, a small crowd had gathered. Truckers, travelers, locals, all waiting anxiously. Conversations died instantly when they saw Mason carrying the girl safely, her mother walking behind, battered but alive. For a long moment, no one spoke. Even the world seemed to pause. Carla's voice quivered with gratitude. "I didn't think anyone would come," she whispered. Mason glanced at Hannah, the little girl, whose tear-stained face now carried a spark of relief. "She made sure we did," he replied quietly, The diner owner came out with blankets and hot coffee. One by one, the Hells Angels removed their jackets and draped them around the mother and daughter. A gesture so unexpected that even the police looked away in quiet respect. As sunlight caught the patch on Mason's vest, he knelt down beside Hannah once more. "You take care of your mama now, all right?" he said gently. "You're her little guardian angel." She nodded, clutching his sleeve with her small fingers. By noon, word had spread through town. The story of the little girl who ran to a group of bikers, and how they didn't hesitate. Strangers began stopping by the diner to thank them for stepping in when others froze. Mason wasn't much of a talker, but when someone asked why he'd done it, he simply said, "You don't ignore a cry like that. Doesn't matter what patch you wear. Some things are just human." In the weeks that followed, Carla and Hannah slowly rebuilt their lives. The town rallied behind them. Neighbors offering furniture, groceries, even a small apartment. And every Sunday, a few bikers could be seen outside the diner, bringing supplies or simply sharing a cup of coffee, while Hannah's laughter filled the air. Months later, when spring thawed the last of the frost, Hannah ran to Mason with a crayon drawing. A row of motorcycles, a little girl in red, and a man kneeling beside her. "This is us," she said proudly. Mason studied the drawing, a faint smile softening his face. He folded it carefully and tucked it into his vest pocket. "That's coming with me wherever I ride," he said. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Because sometimes, the toughest hearts hold the deepest kindness. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were one of those bikers?